Today, Tuesday, June the 10th, and I took a look at the Statistics Canada June release for wage and productivity data, which I always find very interesting. And all I can say is if Canada were a business, you'd fire half the company. There's just no question about it. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Canada, but then try to really localize it down to us as business owners and what it means for us, and then how I'm looking at my own business in light of this particular data as instruction on what I should be focused at if I'm looking to create some value, create some stability, and look to be one of the companies that can thrive in a market where it's a little bit tough. So let me set this up for you a little bit. You run a company, half your departments are burning cash and delivering less with each quarter. The other half of your business are like quiet workhorses that are making you look good. So what do? Do you throw bonuses at the underperforming people, or do you double down on what was actually working? And so that's probably the best way to consider Canada based on the data that just came out. So we're reading that labor productivity went up 0.2% last quarter, down from 1.2% before. Why? Because that's most of the gains that are being made is in the farming, agricultural sector, which doesn't get, in wholesale trade, which doesn't get a lot of attention from the media, and is offset by the losses or the worst performing sector, which is real estate, which seems to be getting all of the headlines right now. And so if you had this result in your company, so you had like the real estate sector, you had a department in your group that was underperforming, and then you had a different sector of the economy, so wholesale, agriculture, forestry, etc., another department in your company that was doing really, really well, who would you sit down first as a business owner, and what kind of conversation would you have with them? So if you were sitting down with your underperforming department, it would be like your sales team. Let's use your sales team because maybe real estate is more applicable for sales. So it'd be like your sales team did fewer deals, but had double the meetings. So they're telling you, yeah, this is all happening. I'm doing really, really well. But they did fewer deals, and you still gave them raises based on whatever your company policy was. So why would you do that? Why would you subsidize, or why would you fund inefficiency? Whereas, say you had a different department, logistics and supply or what have you, that's like wholesale trade, that's like agriculture, that's like forestry. They're like the unsexy team, but they were the most productive in your company, but your company overlooked them. So if you had to sit down with these two departments, how do you start working through resetting expectations or fixing that particular problem? There's, in Canada anyway, wages dropped for the first time, while productivity went up, which is kind of weird, because what it means is that the best workers took a pay cut instead of the best workers getting a pay increase. So overall, Canada's wages dropped, but you had like this little bump in productivity, which means that people were paid like less to do the same job, which is not the position any business owner would want to be in. In fact, as we run businesses, what we think about is you want to fund and back the most successful, most productive people in your business that are ultimately creating the most value. You don't want to reward people that aren't doing that. Now, as business owners, I find you sort of let a week go by, a month go by, a business quarter go by, and you don't really think about it. But over these last couple of weeks, as I've been thinking about our business in light of it being a small piece of the larger Canadian economy, if the larger Canadian economy is unproductive and is struggling to find its footing, how does my business reflect some of those sentiments? And so looking at this wage and productivity data, it brought to me just this idea as a business owner that you need to stimulate things by propping up things that aren't working. So that would be like the government saying, we're going to stimulate the economy by propping up struggling sectors. But the truth is, you and I, as business owners, wouldn't keep reinvesting in failing teams while starving high performers. Truth moment, as an entrepreneur, I think I do this all the time. I think I look to find things in our team that they necessarily don't see on their own. And I am reluctant to overinvest in things that are really, really working. And in fact, for the last couple of years, that has been a habit of mine that I've been trying to break. I'm learning how to be a better business owner by allocating my attention, our capital, our resources to the things that are working, and trying to be a little bit more feathered with over investing or continuing to push along things that aren't working. And so, what does all of that mean? The punchline is I'm trying to make sure that I'm investing in an ROI, getting a return on investment on things that are working, not continuing to invest in things that are not working. And you heard in the last episode, one of the ways I did that is we were investing $1,200 a month in software that really was a glorified Excel spreadsheet with a bunch of tabs. It just happened to have like a web page interface on it. And I made the decision a year ago that for the cost of hosting a database and a little bit of software, that we could take that $1,200 and do something better with it. Again, it didn't grow our revenue per se, but what it did do is make sure we were spending our money better. And so I had an easy time doing that with software. And this year, my focus has been to try and help our team do that. So when I look at the different layers of people that are in our organization, I'm trying to figure out how to help our team be really good at the things they're great at and delegate down or give to technology and software the things they're not really great at. In the field, what that looks like is I am working really hard to lessen the paperwork, updating, manual entry work that our site supervisors have to do in the field, and instead giving them options where they can quickly click updates to give our team the information that we need so that they can stay focused on implementing live safety through the different forms and the different requirements that we have with the OH&S regulations here in our province, and not forcing them to spend an hour each day just filling out paperwork, updating text boxes, and trying to not using the skills that they really have. The skills that our site supervisors have is keeping people safe and making sure the work gets done for the day. Then I'm trying to work with our project managers to alleviate the work from them that doesn't particularly fit their wheelhouse. Our project managers sort of have been running independent businesses for the last couple of years, so our project managers have been very siloed. But because this year we're on pace to double, that strategy no longer works. And so now I have to bring tools forward that help our project managers who are really good at winning deals go win more deals. For our project managers that are really great at managing projects and logistics, I have to give them tools to be able to do that and to try and lessen the burden of data entry, data transfer, updating, doing things that don't fit their normal workflow. And as a business owner, I'm really, really focused on that. So as I went through the wage statistics and the productivity statistics, it really forced me to consider, how am I allocating my attention as the owner? What am I focused on in our business right now? The focus should be productivity, because productivity translates into value creation. And if we're creating value, it means that we're profitable. And if we can do that consistently day over day over day over day, we're going to have a stable business that can ride through whatever challenges that might come up in the marketplace as a result of a continued economy that just doesn't seem to be finding its footing anywhere. That the service that we provide, the market is always going to need in some capacity. And I'm really, really focused on making sure that our company and our marketplace can be one of those companies that is, if the dominoes start falling over, I heard someone in our space decided to close their doors yesterday. But if that keeps happening, then I would like to make sure that our company can survive, but not just survive, it can thrive. And so that means creating a balance sheet that is strong. It means creating a P&L that's really tight. But most importantly, it means backing the best people in our organization with the tools that they need, and the people that aren't performing, find them new opportunities, or use them as a feedback loop to work through what might be the weakest link in our business and how we can strengthen it. So as a business owner, if you were running Canada, you would probably fire half your team. Of course, that isn't an option for business owners because it's already hard enough to find people, much less good people, much less people that do want to create value. And so we do have to work with what we have. And in this case, I think it's just reshuffling an allocation of attention, an allocation of capital, but more importantly, as a business, really defining what does productivity mean to us? How do we mathematically figure it out? And then how can we do even better with that? So I trust there's a couple of little things to think about and consider in what I've shared today. And I hope that as you go back and revisit your business, that some of these things might have even been a little bit instructful, like they have been for me.